Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Anastasia podcast. I'm coming to you guys solo with a bunch of different topics. It's going to be a very ADHD episode. This podcast is probably going to be airing sometime like the week or two before Christmas. I'm finding that I'm about like 3 weeks out with my podcast, which actually I really like. I feel like it puts me in a good place. I recorded a podcast last week with my friend and boss, Sam, and that ended up being a little bit like almost 2 hours, so I'm probably gonna do, like a part 1 and a part 2 release, so I might be, like, on a 4-week lag, we'll see. I might, like, release the part 2 midway through the week just to, like, not create too much of a backlog in my life, but I was really excited about that podcast. It was really nice to, I don't know, kinda just dive in and hear someone's whole story. I hope you guys enjoyed it because now that you're listening to this, it's already out. So anyways, a few life things. Let me grab my notebook, going on in the background. So the last time I recorded the podcast I'm gonna be releasing today, Magnolia had just started walking, and now we're on, like, 3 weeks, like, her birthday's coming up, her one-year birthday. She has been like a walking, talking machine. Honestly, like, I constantly look at Matt and I'm like, I'll look at her and I'll look at Matt and I'm like, "Can you believe we made it?" And he's like, "We didn't make it yet." And I'm like, "Okay, God willing." But, like, I literally can't believe we made it to this point because this was the longest year of my life. And I was just saying to some family and friends the other week, I'm like, 1 year with Magnolia was literally longer than 13 years with Matt, like, easily, but by the grace of God, like, with God's grace, we got through it, and it was just crazy. So, when right around when she turns a year, I wanna do a podcast with Matt, like, kind of highlighting the highs and lows, the good, the bad, the ugly of what our whole first year of becoming parents was like, and I know it's gonna be an entire, like, silver lining episode where everything that was so hard doesn't even matter because it just everything ends up you're so much better off. Like, you're so much better off having this little beautiful thing, like, waddling around your house, like, you're watching them learn and you're learning so much, and it's making you, like, think and understand things about life and living and legacy and family and, um, sacrifice and growth and, like, purpose, God, self like, all the things. It makes you think about everything, and it's all wrapped up in this tiny little being, and it's just you're so much better for it. So, you guys know my podcast episodes always have, like I weave in and out little things that maybe I think about during the week or like little lessons that I'm picking up along the way relating to parenthood. This isn't like primarily a motherhood podcast or parenthood podcast, even though I know like it was such a big part of the past year of my life. So there was no way around it not weaving into being like the main topic of many podcasts. But the biggest thing I've been thinking about this past week, this isn't actually even in my notes, but I was thinking about a level of selfishness that you shed when you become a parent that you weren't even aware that you had. You weren't even aware of how it was woven into you. And the selfishness, I say lightly because prior to being a mom, like I feel like I really cared about other people. I deeply cared about my friends. I really like cared about my husband. It was like my family has always been first. It's like my immediate family. It's God, Matt. Then it's like our immediate families and then it's friends. But I always held everybody in such a high regard and even down to just like holidays, doing little gifts for people. Those were always the things running through my mind. If a friend is ever going through a rough time, like you want to do something kind to support them, etc. And it's not that that's changed and that that's not important. It still is so important to be there because you need your community. Like we lean on each other. It's the same thing as marriage. Like I really am starting to understand chosen family more and like the importance of girlfriends and then how certain things translate in relationships. Like marriage is the most sacred relationship you'll have. There are lines there that are not to be blurred. Like that is sacred and holy and designed by God for a reason. But with friendships, just like anything else, it's about growing together. And there are like you can be in a tough time in life where you're like self-doubting yourself, like whether you're working on a goal or a dream, and then the right friends will pour into you in in the right ways, like in supportive ways, in like biblical ways, and it builds you up. And it's just so important to have people like that in your corner, because if you're not careful, you can end up with people around you who kind of prey on the weary times and feed more fear and feed more worry, and that doesn't help anyone. So it's like when you have those moments of weakness where you can't pull yourself out and see the light and be determined and believe everything's working out for your greater good, like friendships, the right friendships are so important to have. And that's been another lesson in the past year. I'm so grateful for the people God has put in my life that I've gotten a chance to learn from, pour into, etc. But anyways, besides that, I really think about like a level of selfishness that was shed over the past year where you just don't have the time to think about I want to say almost like 75% of the things that used to fill your brain, because you're just on another planet. Your every waking thought you have is about this new little baby that you're helping support to grow, nourish, take care of, keep clean, warm, sleep schedules, etc. And it's just such an evolution of the self. And people always say this, like you always hear people are like, it's just the best thing in the world. And like you can't describe it. It's true. I want to like try to lean in to figure out the words. And when Matt and I do that podcast, I want to kind of dive into that a little bit more to really help our friends who haven't taken the leap yet to have kids, because it is too hard to describe, but there are, I'm sure, ways to get close. It's just you really kind of have to sit and think about it. And it's almost like writing, like you need to give your brain a little bit of like work and practice to get yourself there. So, anyways, I just have thought about that because I never thought I was a selfish person before, but I think you notice it in others after you become a parent, because it just it it can't be you anymore, like, you can't operate in that space because it's like a wall has physically been built between that past version of yourself and this new version, and it's impermeable, like, you cannot get through that wall, and it's like that identity is gone forever. So, not like deep ego-driven selfishness, just this like, almost like lighthearted selfishness where there's not anything real, like, weighted and heavy and, like, actually important going on. We falsify the importance of so many things, and the real importance, like, you understand gravity of situations and, like, life and death and eternity and all these things when you become a parent. And in the same way, it actually makes so much of life so much more clearer because you are quickly realigned with God-given purpose and what your job is here while you're on earth. And it's kind of a gift in disguise, because I feel like, again, I'm going too deep into this, but I feel like I spent so much of my 20s pondering, like, what's my purpose? What should I be doing? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And like somewhere along the way of this past year, you start to understand the bigger picture and you give your like heart a chance to rest, and you're like, literally, God is walking this walk with me and he's never left me and he's always been there, and like this is the most holy of work. And yeah, so I'll tie into that. Okay, diving into all the other topics that I have for this week, I have that this is the week of Thanksgiving. And one of my friends, her name is Stephanie, we're like acquaintances, but like friendly. So she's not like my best friend, but I met her at a book club that I was in that I really only had the chance to go to twice. I have a problem with overcommitting. And it's like, I want to like reach out to the girl who's head of the book club and like pop in one time to see the girls and see how they're all doing. But I was like, I was working on a project yesterday in the basement and I was like, wow, I'm actually like, I want to do it all, and it's so hard to realize you can just really have seasons of life where, like, the hard answer is no, because when I truly only have little pockets of time, a week that are free, it really forces me to be like, "Okay, of the things that I wanna do, like, what are the most important? What do I have time for? Where's the leftover?" My leftover free time is literally sleeping, like, catching up to, like, still be human, because we are just still navigating murky water with Magnolia. I will say the past 2, 3-ish weeks have been better since she started walking, because I think she's exuding so much more energy during the day, but that was literally the freaking craziest 11 and a half months of my life. Of my life. That was like a different kind of basic training. Like, that was borderline torture, but then there's so much goodness plugged into it that, like, you're not even realizing how bad it is, but it was crazy. Anyways, Stephanie is right now pregnant with twins, and she has 3 boys, and the twins were a surprise, XYZ, but she shared something online because her husband is, like, the primary earner in their family, and she was a nurse, and now she's a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, "When my husband is doing super long days and I'm solo parenting, one thing helped me shift, like, how the entire day goes," and she's like, "I lower my standards." And I, like, read it, and it sounds so simple, and I'm sure I've even heard it so many times, and I felt it on such a deep level, and I'm like, "Why?" Because maybe this is a concept I've only just been starting to allow myself to do lately, like, when I've said in other podcasts how I kind of try to do a what is the word I'm looking for? Like an audit of my time and my schedule, I slowly started realizing I have these insane expectations of myself. And again, life is not about comparing, but I also have to, like, Matt is really good at, like, Anastasia. Like, do you remember how the majority of the world lives? Because you get so wrapped up in, like, you know, the more that, like, oh, when we just have a bigger house, when we just have this, when we just have this, and we literally forget, like, we live in a country with running water, like, living in middle class, XYZ, like, we're doing a lot better than literally a giant percentage of the population of the earth, and it's very humbling, and it's such a good reminder that not only do we have enough, we have more than enough. But I have, like, never been satisfied with what I would finish or accomplish during the day. I think because I have ADD, so I ultimately end up distracted and there's, like, pockets of time lost in my day. But sometimes I would have to take a step back and, like, look at what I did accomplish during the day, and sometimes I'll just think, like, people play video games for hours a day. People binge watch TV for hours a day. Like, people go to work and come home and eat dinner in front of the TV and watch TV all night and then go to work and then do it over and over and over again. I'm like, Anastasia, you're wired so differently. Like, for me, it's a priority to walk my dog every single day. There's people who don't even walk their pets, you know? Like, when I start to think in my head the building blocks of, like, what I already accomplish, I'm like, "Okay, Anastasia, you're okay. You're doing great." I never let myself lower my baseline after having Magnolia. So even after having, like, the craziest nights of my life running on 2 to 3 hours sleep, it would still be like, "Okay, house maintenance, grocery shopping, cooking, cleaning, dishwasher, dishes, laundry, putting clothes away, cleaning this, cleaning that." And then what project am I working on? Like, what in the home needs to be moved ahead? What, like, what am I doing for the salon? What? And I'm like, Dude, I am actually crazy that I just never let myself lower my standards because in that, despite even having days where there was, like, less sleep and you're, like, literally barely a functioning zombie, instead of sleeping when Magnolia would sleep or, like, barely sleep during her naps I would view as like, "Okay, I gotta go be productive," like, in literally zombie form. Meanwhile, just getting through the day was the productivity, and then you add into that solo parenting, I'm like, "Wow." Part of it is being so sleep deprived that you can't think clearly, but I'm really like, "Anastasia, like, I'm we are not" like, my culture or, like, the culture I was raised in, praise is not a huge thing in, like, Slavic, Soviet, like, it's you don't praise. Like, my parents didn't praise us, we didn't praise it's just it's like a learned thing, and it's not about self-praise, but it is about, like, pausing and reflecting and being appreciative and proud of where you've come. And I'm like, "You had a hell of a year, Anastasia, and you did a damn good job. Like, you made it. You kept up with the podcast. Your baby is thriving. She's doing great. You've learned so many things just about her, about managing, like, life. You and Matt have, like, fought for each other and worked together as a team. Like, teamwork is a whole nother level." And, like, I often think about Matt, and I said this, like, my first post when I posted announcing Magnolia, that, like, what did I say? I was like, "I love this man. I would give him as many kids as he wants." Yes, there's, like, hard stuff, absolutely, because it's 2 people changing the entire dynamic of what your relationship has ever been, and you're learning how to walk through something as gigantic as parenthood and motherhood and fatherhood together. But every single, like, hardship over the past year, we've ended out better together on the other side of it, and, like, literally, it just makes me love Matt all over again and like praise God for the person that I ended up with because I'm just so lucky. I am so lucky that Matt and I choose to work towards the same common goal. We choose each other, and every single day, like we know where we stand, and it's us against this, and then we work through it, and then it's the next goal, and then it's the next thing, and it's literally victory after victory. And I'm just so, so grateful. But I just, in the spirit of kind of really observing over the past 2 weeks, the lower your standards, I just am really giving myself permission to even approaching the holidays. I was like, okay, it's time to put your money where your mouth is, Anastasia. And how are you going to lower your expectations considering the new season of life that you're in? And I'll say my mom has done a really good job over the past year. Anytime something is going on my mom's side of the family, and Matt's mom too, Matt's mom is extremely hospitable. I think I'm just thinking of my mom because my mom and I are in a way like connecting on a different level because my mom and I were like a little bit like oil and water growing up. I was a really rebellious kid. I was not very good at obeying my parents, etc. And I will say it stops with me. Redemption's real, forgiveness is real. God's going to give me his grace and our kids are going to be good kids that listen to their parents. But even like back to last Christmas, right? Like we had just had the baby. I remember Matt's mom came over and she brought a grocery store worth of food, and we ended up, like, hosting by default, but it was actually everybody coming over to see the baby and open gifts, and the only reason we made it through that Christmas is because Susan brought food for literally everyone. And I remember when my family came, like, being the bigger family, my brothers were, like, going ham, eating everything. They're like, "Oh, this is so good." I'm like, "This is all Susan." She went to Whole Foods, she got, like, the most adorable little desserts because Susan knows I love, like, bite-sized little desserts, and I love having a piece of like, Susan is just so kind, and I should do an entire episode on mother-in-laws and father-in-laws, and, like, I think seeing the kindness of my in-laws through this season too, it's definitely been wrapped up in prayer. So many prayers when I pray with Magnolia to pray for her future in-laws, that she is, like, married into a family that has this type of love and warmth and support, but my mom has also I was very surprised at this because being from a big family, like, I am naturally a generous person. I learned this from my dad. My dad is like, "Oh, let's just get one of everything, and if we have extra, it's okay because everybody's taken care of." Any holidays we've ever had, family dinners, etc., I always love bringing something, 2 things, 3 things, 4 things, and I'm realizing, like, around this time of the year, even, like, probably 2 to 3 weeks earlier, like, when November begins is when I start to get in the frenzy of, like, okay, what am I making for Thanksgiving? I'm researching stuff online. I'm like, what recipes, flavors, things are speaking to me? I love to eat boring, I say. Like, I like to eat deeply nutritious foods, but in an effort to save time, I will eat the same thing 7 days in a row and I will rejoice because I won't have to cook for 7 days in a row. I will spend time cooking one day. I will eat it for all those days. I am more than happy. When I want a little different flavor, I'll make something else, eat that for 5 days, and so on and so on. Holidays are like a time to kind of play around with things, make like really rich things. You're not making like cheese balls and little like appetizer cups with like brie and cranberry and all this stuff like on regular Tuesday, Thursday nights. So it's really fun to plug in like that for the holidays. So anyways, that is usually when I'm starting with my list of like, okay, what like 2 to 3 appetizers do I wanna make? What sides do I wanna make? What desserts do I wanna bring to the table? And then it's literally like, you should see my car on Thanksgiving when I'm heading to my mom's. It's also fun for me because I have 3 little brothers and I have an uncle and like there's a lot of men who eat a lot in my family. So like what you make is gonna be really appreciated, and like there's that whole fun side of it because my husband is like I don't wanna say a pickier eater, he's just a simpler eater. He likes steak, he likes potatoes, he likes chicken wings, like he likes he likes burgers. He's a beef, chicken, and like simple guy. So like I don't really explore a lot with like making dinners at home anymore. I feel like I finally gave up the fight like I wanna say it was a good, like, 11 to 12 years into our relationship, and I don't know why it took me so long. But anyways, this year, I'm literally making 2 things for Thanksgiving, and I'm like, "Wow, Anastasia, like, this is huge. This is so not like me," but I kind of had to be like, "Let's look at the reality of your life." And what I was saying about my mom, tying it into that, every family like birthday that we've had this year, Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever, when I'm coming, my mom says, I say, Mom, what would you like me to bring? She goes, bring nothing. It is such an effort to come with the baby, pack the bag, etc. Look, everything you have to remember. She's like, come with the baby, leave whenever you need to. Like, my mom has like absolved me of so much pressure that never even felt like forced external pressure. But I'm like, I'm also a person who like I kind of prided myself on like, well, no, like a baby's not gonna slow me down. Dude, take the hall pass. Freaking take the hall pass, okay? Live your life, lower your standards a little bit. You're gonna be okay and you're gonna get the time back to be the hostess that you wanna be, to be generous in the way that you wanna be generous. Take the freaking hall pass, okay? This year for Thanksgiving, I am making chicken cranberry jalapeno meatballs in a cranberry, like, jelly relish sauce and cornbread, and that's it. And the chicken meatballs are pre-done, they're Amy Lou brand. I had them as an appetizer last year, like, in a crock pot. They were so freaking good, I was shocked. My friend Jen here's another thing. I was not gonna have time to make it to Costco before Thanksgiving because of the project that I'm doing for the salon, like, everything I'm on such a, like, tight time restraint that I was like, "Okay, maybe I could go on a Friday night because I also didn't wanna go during the day during a weekday because Costco is a zoo. It's literally, like, crazier than a zoo. My friend Jen goes to Costco every single night, no, every single Friday with her husband. It's kinda how they, like, get their shopping done for the week. It's a little bit slower. Yeah, there's, like, a heavy volume of people, like, earlier on a Friday night, but, they go, they get it done. Her and I were hanging out on Saturday. We did like a Christmas exchange, and I was like, "Hey, if you see these, could you pick me up a package or two?" Do you know how hard it is for me to even ask for help? I am training myself to get better at that. Today, I needed to go to Home Depot to pick up a few cans of primer. My brother's coming over later in the afternoon. I'm like, Anastasia, you're not even going to get to the painting until he comes here because you're podcasting. Ask for help. Ask for help. And you know what my brother says? No problem. You know what Jen said? No problem. Jen literally got it, brought it over, saved me literally over 2 hours of time because Costco is an hour from me. Like, I'm so appreciative. I love Costco. I do not mind the drive at all. I'm just not going to make it to Costco until like maybe right before Magnolia's birthday or maybe even after, maybe like once more before Christmas. And I didn't want to miss that opportunity. But these chicken meatballs are the bomb. And then cornbread because like why not? And I feel like cornbread would be like a nice smooth like little thing to like pass off the heat of the cranberry jalapeno meatballs and maybe just like a nice like I think I might do them in muffin form instead of in like bread form. But anyways, work smarter, not harder. I'm really trying to give myself permission to do that. And there's an expression that you start hearing all the time when you become a parent and it's that you can't do it all. And I like challenge that like you can do it all if you're willing to compromise and like give up the control of how you want to do things. I do really believe you can't do it all at once. I believe that there's stages. So right now, the salon is closing. I feel like okay saying this because I don't really like oversharing when a project isn't done. But by the time this airs, the salon like I'll be like a few weeks out. It was probably going to be Christmas. So, anyways, the salon is going to be closing for like a long weekend for Thanksgiving. So it's going to be a juicy amount of time that I can go in, help with a few more projects, get some things painted, get some things set up, just really continue to like bring a different vision to life or like enhance the vision that's already there. But the time is never there to do it. You guys know Sam and I touched upon it in the last podcast. But anyways, so like the reality of that is I don't have time this week to cook because I'm literally working around the clock in my basement, building, priming, painting, sanding, filling. Like I'm getting so much stuff ready. On the flip side of this, I've always been someone who's not very good at like, I don't want to say I'm not very good because you know what? This entire past year was pressure and I did a really freaking good job, minus like the occasional, aka very many tears. Times like this when so much is swarming in the head, I like need a notebook, I need a pen and paper, and I have to like write things out so I don't forget and can keep myself on track. And honestly, it's been so far so good. Free time is spent like praying for direction, like God support me in this, support Matt in this, like thank you for XYZ. Like, because Matt is coincidentally going through like a super busy time right now. And it's just, you know what? It never slows down. And But, like, I don't wanna say it doesn't get easier, you get tougher, so you do walk through the craziness with, like, a different grace, like, and rhythm, and just you're not, like, getting dragged through it, you're, like, gracefully walking through it, and it's still really hard, but you got tougher. So anyways, that's my lesson in that. Stephanie, shout out to you. I really appreciated you saying that because it's one of those things in life. We hear sayings all the time, but sometimes that one saying that you've heard 100 times, it sticks with you differently. It resonates all of a sudden. And I'm like, yes, this is my season of lowering my standards, giving myself grace, because with this, I can do more while doing less. Because I'm giving myself permission to do less, I'm actually able to go further because I'm taking care of myself on a different level. And you know what? Nobody is even lacking in the Thanksgiving department. It's so funny. We're all so busy in this season of life. My little brother Peter sent out a text and he's like, listen, I'm working like a dog up until Thanksgiving. Mom's working like a dog up until Thanksgiving. We were all kind of texting what we're bringing. And he's like, nobody likes turkey, so we're not even doing a turkey. He's like, we're doing chicken and steak. He's like, I'm gonna be grilling all day. And then my mom said something like that she's doing, like, it was just so funny. And it's like, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I will say, we celebrated Matt's brother's birthday at the beginning of November, right after Vera's wedding at Matt's mom's house. And Susan ended up kind of like impromptu doing like a Thanksgiving meal. There was stuffing, there was gravy, there were green beans, she put turkey breasts in a crock pot with cranberry jelly. It was so good. There were sweet rolls, there was butter. It was so freaking good. It was like the perfect Thanksgiving meal that, like, I don't even know if we're gonna have stuffing and gravy at my mom's, but, like, dude, cheers to Susan kicking off the month, like, and it was, I think it kind of by chance happened because what Jacob requested for dinner that night was meatloaf, and LOL, I've been on a meatloaf kick all month. I think I've made, like, 3 meatloafs so far. I'm, like, really realizing that meatloaf is kind of like a hack. Like, you can pack, like, 3 pounds of ground beef, season it to, like, if you want it, it's like a giant meatball. I've been making it with pork rind, breadcrumbs, so it's keto, like, or low carb. So I've been making low carb meatloaf for Matt, and I'm like, dude, this is holy. I love it. I always love a shortcut with cooking. So, anyways, give yourself permission to do less so you can actually go further and do more. Okay, at this point in the season, the sun has been setting at around 3:30, and I want to tell you guys, I love it. I remember in like years past when I was in corporate America being like, dude, this is terrible. You wake up and it's dark. You get to work, it's still dark. You leave work and it's dark. Like you wouldn't see the daylight. I actually remember coming home one year. It was like a weekend. Weekends were always super busy too. And I looked out our back sliding doors and we have all woods behind us and all the leaves were dark orange. And I was like, I missed all of fall. I did not notice the leaves change at all because I was leaving in the dark, coming home in the dark. And then I think weekends were so go, 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 like cleaning, cooking, all the stuff. I finally had a chance to this was the year of slow down, like slow down, smell the roses, observe everything around me. And I have absolutely been loving it getting darker earlier because I feel like nature is reminding me to slow down and wind down, even down to like literally simple things. Like if Magnolia is napping from 3:30 to 5:30, I'm washing my hair at 5 o'clock at night. That was an unfathomable concept to me, like in my previous life, because what do you mean I'm showering in the middle of the day when I go to bed at like 1 or 2 a.m.? But now I'm like, no, we can wind down. Like you can get this done now, not after you put Magnolia down at like 9, 10 o'clock because she won't go to bed. And then by the time I'm washing my hair, I'm exhausted. And then I have to wait a little bit for it to air dry, then blow dry. It's like it's such a different level of exhaustion being a mom because taking care of a kid all day, you're freaking tired by the time the end of the day comes. Tying it back to like in the podcast I'm releasing today, I think I said like I sit down every single night and I think like I'm going to open my laptop and I'm going to edit my podcast and I'm going to work on these design presentations for these clients and whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't freaking happen because I am utterly exhausted. So I'm really liking the like visual cue of like, hey, it's nighttime. We can slow down. Even like trying to beat the system of like being in my pajamas, makeup washed off around 6 o'clock. Dude, if Nola ends up going to bed at like 7:30 to 8:30, after I put her down, it's done. My next goal is to like have the kitchen already closed down, like like, no exceptions after, like, 6 would be great, but realistically, probably 7:30. Because sometimes I'm trying to cook, and she's with me in the kitchen, and it's still way too hard to do that, and she's getting into everything, which is fine, but, like, you can't fully be plugged into what you're doing because like, both your eyes are actually always watching her, and by the time I get her down for bed, I come downstairs, I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, there's so much to clean in the kitchen, and you're so tired, so it takes so long, but I have been loving it. And in the same way, it's not in every night that you kind of wind down because there are literally sometimes that she wakes up at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. It's been dark for it feels like 3 hours. I get that girl loaded up. I go to my parents. She goes to hang out with my family for a few hours. I run to Route 2. I run a bunch of errands. Whenever I have like 3 or more errands to do, I'm not bringing her because it's literally not fair for her to get jerked in and out of the car that much. And it's just like, lines are really long right now because it's the end of the year, it's Christmas time, like, it's not fair for her attention span, but anyways, I will LOL to myself because I'm driving to my parents, and I feel like I'm driving with my baby in the backseat at midnight, like, in the middle of the night because it's so dark. I still have that dog in me, that's what I'm trying to say, that, like, it doesn't matter if it feels super late, like, I have that energy and I'm like, "We're gonna go, we're gonna get it done." I don't care if I'm gonna be the last person closing the grocery store down. I'm buying 9 almond milks, I'm buying 9 lemonades for Matt, like, anytime I go to Route 2, I stock the frig up because I do not go shopping very often. We can do a whole episode about that some other time. I feel like it's like a kid from a big family probs, but also it's just like I am not a go out once a week kind of shopper. I do shopping every 2 to 3 weeks. I will like have 8 to 10 ground beefs in our meat drawer, like, like, I will buy 2 huge things of burgers at Costco. There's, like, 18 burgers per pack, like, yeah, I like the fridge and the freezer stocked. You just wait till I get a freezer for the basement, dude, it's gonna be over. I'm gonna cook 1 day a month, and I'm not gonna go shop I'm only gonna go shopping once a month. It's gonna be, like, $1,000 shopping day, but guess what? I'm not gonna head out to the grocery store any other day. The only other things I need is like, Noli now eats berries. But like I've been heavy in my what have I been doing? I got a vacuum sealer. Dude, it's freaking awesome. So I've been making Noli like egg bite cups and then, I'll make like 24 of them and then you only need 2 out in the fridge and then you vacuum seal all of them and put them in the freezer. Do you know how long it's going to take my daughter to eat 24 egg bites? Probably 3 or 4 months. I'm good. I'm not making eggs for a long time. And vacuum sealer bags keep foods fresher 4 times longer than freezer bags. Because I was finding every single thing I was freezing in a freezer bag would still get like freezer burn on it, or there'd be like, maybe it was from condensation, but there'd still be like icicles in the bags. I'm like amped on this. That's what I want for Christmas. I know Matt got me a really beautiful pair of studs for Christmas, but really for Christmas, I want that freezer, honey, that I've sent you at Home Depot a couple times, and we both need new phones, so it's thank you, Santa. Anyways, I'm just loving that the sun is setting earlier, and I'm getting like a new lease on life too because I'm in a different groove with my baby, so I'm loving the slowdown, but I'm also loving like the re-energization. All right, and the last thing that I want to share is lately I've been feeling that like go after your dreams, pray about it, ask for like guidance and like God makes the way and just go for it and like walk by faith, not by sight. Like that has been a huge theme. Oh, I should do a whole podcast on that. I've really been feeling like this season of life is walk by faith, not by sight. Walk by faith, not by sight. And I'm seeing it in literally so many of my friends' lives. My friend Courtney is home right now from Florida. She just bought a house in Florida and she just sent me something last night and it was from her notes in her phone from years ago. And it was one of those like, oh my God, when you look back, first of all, how fast God can actually make something happen. But like, dude, life is about obedience, praying, listening, asking for guidance, like listening. This devotional that I'm reading right now, they do a lot of like reminding you if you feel like you can't hear God and his guidance, ask for clarity. Like when you pray, ask God to like be able to understand when he's speaking to you and he's guiding you undeniably. And we forget that we can even ask those kinds of things because so many times people ask for something in prayer and they're like, oh, maybe God doesn't hear me. Like that's an unanswered prayer. Sometimes that is the answer, but we don't have the discernment to like process that because we're so in our flesh of what we're desiring that we're not listening to like literally that door physically not being open, and we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and it turns into years, and it's like you're missing all these other blessings and opportunities because you're so dead set on following your own will. So anyways, because I've been feeling that like dream chaser, goal getter like vibe lately, I was like, all right, today I was getting ready to hike the dog and I'm like, what book do I want to listen to right now? And I'm like, is it time to re-listen to You're a Badass? And I was like, you know what? I'm going to re-listen to The Magnolia Story with Chip and Joanna Gaines. And oh my gosh, am I glad I did. The Magnolia Story is such a beautiful story of like how Chip and Jo came together, what their relationship was like with God, like before they were them, how they see God had a hand in them coming together. They have a beautiful marriage. God is first. And then how they trusted God with the dreams of their heart. And God was like, watch this. God was like, be obedient and watch this. And I literally just love listening to their story over and over and over. When that show Fixer Upper first came out, Matt and I used to love it because it was like, this is exactly what Matt and I want to do. Like, this is the vision for our life. It was such a, like, one thing that I always remember hearing from friends, family, when Matt and I were dating, like our early years, is everyone would be like, dude, you guys are so funny. You're so funny. You're so funny. When life gets really serious and life gets really heavy, you don't necessarily have time to like be in that laid back, funny spirit. And I actually notice it with Matt a lot because this year's been hard for me, but this is the year of like Matt working like a dog, supporting our family. And there just necessarily isn't that time to like sit back, kick back, etc. So whenever I get those pockets of time with Matt where he gets to like, I can just tell his shoulders are a little settled. He's more like him. I am just like, that reminds me like my why and what I always want. Like the goal is for me and Matt for our business to get to a point where like that is brought out more in my husband because that is more of my husband. So anyways, we always loved Chip and Joanna Gaines. And then, like, life just gets busy. Who has time to watch any shows religiously? I do feel like when we were looking at baby names, that is why Magnolia stuck out to us. Not because necessarily of Chip and Jo, but like the meaning of Magnolia is really beautiful. But for me, it's like we really thought having a kid, like, okay, time's up, like our dreams are over, etc. And it's not up and it's just beginning. And in fact, we're just so much more focused on where we're going, what we're going to be doing, what God has called us to. And like, surprise to us, it includes kids. It includes kids, and like they're a joy and they're an asset, and it's so beautiful when they're a part of the journey, they're a part of the story. And I just know like all things are always working out for your good with God, for those who love God. And it's just seriously, I'm really excited for what the next year is going to be holding. So I think that's why Matt and I really liked Magnolia when we were looking up baby names, because there's just always been like a soft spot in our hearts for that. And when I was on the hike with the dog, I was listening to the beginning of the book where they're sharing how they kind of met each other, how they were kind of like not who each other would typically go for. But then again, like it makes from where I'm standing, because I'm such a believer in love and like God, when God has two people chosen for each other, how it kind of defies the odds and it just works out. And it's not hard. Like there's not this crazy resistance there. You see God's hand in it. And it just makes me think like, it makes me think of mine and Matt's story and how it just worked. And all these years later, it just works because of who we are and how we lean in. And I'm like, I just see God's hand over this over and over and over. And I'm like, that is like my wish always for my friends and my family and just people I meet in passing. That person for you that God has for you, it's not hard. It's not supposed to like break you down mentally, emotionally. It is like the uplifting love. It is your partner. It is the people that you grow with, chase goals with, build with. Like it's just, oh, socially, they just make it so messy. They make you think you got to go after all these things on your own. And it's like, no, your person literally helps you get there faster. And then together you create so much beauty in the meantime. Anyways, so that is basically all I have for this week. I know the last podcast that I did a solo episode, I said I wanted to kind of change the win of the week at the end of the podcast and be like, oh, what person do I want to highlight? And I know I highlighted someone a little controversial, Candace Owens. Dude, I still love that girl. I think I love that girl because I think we're all a little crazy. And I think if you're following your truth, at least you're following your truth. You don't have to agree with everything someone says. You actually don't even have to like them. I don't want to make this a case where people feel like I'm trying to like sell them on something. To me, there's just something fascinating about no matter like what life hands someone, you're just like, okay, I'm going to keep going. Like, I'm going to keep going after the things that feel like truth to me, that feel like I'm supposed to be pursuing them, etc. And I think it's like a level of like, it's admirable. And I'm also in a season of my life where I'm like, dude, it's also pretty nice to have something to look forward to at the end of the day where I can kind of just like, if I get all my stuff done, I can like slow down and it's my hub. Like I can be in the living room with Noli or winding down for the night playing with her toys, and then I just have Candace in the background. But anyways, I think the person that I want to highlight this week is probably my husband. I would highlight Matt every single week if I could, but I just want to, and I will say, Matt doesn't even listen to the podcast. So he's the number one supporter. Any dream, wish, whatever I have, like Matt made this room happen. You should see the lighting set up in this room, the cameras, the equipment. Like Matt is my number one. He is like my number one believer, encourager, etc. He makes it all happen. I had like a dream for something outside, and this guy just like got to work on the sawmill and he's making it happen. So I just I'm not saying any of this because he's listening, but I actually hope he does listen so he appreciates it, or just it's a good reminder. It's y in marriage, like, you don't do things for the praise, and, like, even in friendship or actually, maybe some people do, but, like, that's not how I'm wired. It's always, though, nice to hear like appreciation because it's like you're taking time to slow down in life and notice something. And it's just, it does not fall short on me how hard Matt works to support our family, to be there, to lean in to like all the tough times, work through them, come out bigger and better on the other side. And just my favorite thing is that like no matter how tough life feels, he's always down to continue dreaming and like what next goal are we setting and when we get here and when we do this. And it's just like what a gift to be married to someone like that, because I can only imagine it's really hard to break out of molds in life when you feel stuck in your own thing. And I know there are people who don't have supportive husbands, who don't have supportive partners. And it's just like, that is not the goal. Like, that isn't, you should not be fighting that resistance within your household. Like, life outside your home is filled with resistance. Home is supposed to be the place of building, encouragement, growing, and like literally kind of doing bold, crazy dreams. And they feel like we're going to do it. So, anyways, that's all I have for you guys this week. I actually have to get better at saying please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you guys have any questions or topics that you want me to cover, it's it's the Anastasia podcast at gmail.com. I will see you guys next week, and thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.